Julie Clark is the founder of the Baby Einstein Company, and I have 2 kids, one's 13, one's 8, and if it wasn't for your work, I don't know what I would have done, so thank you very much, and I'd like everybody to give a nice warm welcome to Julie Clark.
Good morning. So nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I have to remember in the future that when speaking at an event in Las Vegas to try to get on the agenda for early in the sessions so that nobody's hungover. Thank you for getting up from those very comfortable pillows at Caesar's Palace. I've decided that people who create pillows for hotel rooms must be sadists, because I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do with my neck after sleeping on those pillows. So thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I have a presentation that I'm excited to share with you. I like to call it Raising a Business. And if I could just say that I'm not, oh, there we go. Okay, Raising a Business. I call it Raising a Business because I really ran my business from home, much like I ran my life as a mommy at home. And I tried to run my business the way that I taught my children to run their lives and to be the kind of people that I hope that they would grow up to be. And I think that my company grew up to be the same kind of business that I hoped that my kids would grow up to be. So I hope to share with you some ideas about that today. So I'm hoping to wake up your ideas. I want to say that I didn't start out as an entrepreneur. I really started out as a teacher. I was an English and art teacher, and I loved doing that, but I also knew that I really wanted to be a mom. It was something that I wanted to be a stay-home mom. I wanted to spend that quality time with my kids, and I never knew that I would start a business. And I think that that's what happens to a lot of people. We don't often know that we're going to start a business. It's something that we do as a result of seeing a need in the marketplace. So I want to share with you a couple of really cool people. There was a little girl named Cassidy Goldstein, and many of us have never heard of her before, but she was a really neat kid. She was about 10 years old, and she was always coloring. She loved art, but she was continually frustrated because her crayons were always broken. And she looked at this little flower container that her mom had gotten with some roses that her mom had received. And if you've ever seen, if you just get a single rose, it'll come in one of those little clear sort of plastic water holders that keeps the rose fresh. And she looked at that and she said to herself, I think this would be really cool. If I cut the bottom off this, I could put my crayons in them. I could put crayons in these things, and my crayons wouldn't break. So she came up with this idea for crayon holders. And ultimately, her dad helped her, and she was able to get those crayon holders to be sold at Walmart, and the rest is history. She became quite successful. Another person who came up with a really cool idea, Chester Greenfield, little kid, he was ice skating, and his ears were always cold. And he went home to his grandma, and he said, you know, I want something that'll just cover my ears while I'm skating, and I don't want a whole hat on my head. I just want something to keep my ears warm. Came up with the idea for earmuffs, were patented a couple years later and ultimately used by the entire Army in World War II, which was a pretty big sale. And then the third person I wanted to share with you who came up with a really cool idea is somebody whose work we still use, even though it's over 100 years ago that he came up with the idea, and that's Louis Braille. So he was a blind child who wanted to read and came up with this idea. So ultimately what I wanted to just communicate with you guys about this whole thing is just that we have so many great ideas sometimes based on needs that we have as people, whether it's something as simple as wanting to keep your ears warm, which turned into a pretty big deal, to something really huge. And for me, I had a need because I was a stay-home mom and I had 2 really little kids at home. And this is a need that anybody who has children will understand, particularly if you've spent a lot of time at home alone with them. And this was my need. I really just wanted to pee alone. I was really tired of constantly having a little person sitting next to me while I was sitting on the potty. So I wanted to be alone sometimes, and it wasn't that I wanted to park my child in front of a television for hours on end, but I did want something that could keep my kids entertained if I needed to jump in the shower, or I needed to go to the bathroom, or I needed to make dinner or make a phone call or something like that. And I didn't like what I was seeing on television for children. Particularly, I didn't like it because it drove me crazy. It was, at that time, a purple dinosaur that would sing these songs that just made me want to blow my brains out. And I thought, okay, if I could make something that my kids could actually watch, that I could appreciate and love myself, that would be really cool. And I could feel really good about them watching that. Why would it be that kids can't be exposed to things like classical music and art and poetry and things that I myself enjoyed? And I was thinking about this, and I can actually pinpoint, which is pretty cool, the exact moment that I was inspired to create Baby Einstein. So I'm going to share a very little video with you of my daughter Aspen when she was probably about 5 months old. I mean, it was so cool. It just came to me like that, where I thought, okay, I'm laying my baby on the bed. I'm trying to see, what's she seeing? All she's seeing is like these cool bubbles floating down. And if you ever were to have somebody blow bubbles while you're laying down and to just see these things coming down, it's really quite cool. And I had classical music playing in the background, and I could see how excited she was. And literally, that was kind of the moment where I said, this could be really cool to put something like this on a video. What would be a baby's perspective of the world if we were to take all the things that make babies laugh and smile? What are those things like? And how could I make that appealing to adults as well? And I had a great focus group, as you can see. This was a play group that I was a part of with my daughter. And so I talk to people, and I know this is something that you guys do as well, obviously. You talk to people, you go, okay, what are you looking for? And so I would talk to other mommies and say, well, what do you guys think of what's available now, and what would you think if there was something that you could actually watch yourself with your child and it wouldn't drive you crazy, and you could use it sort of like you use a book. So we'll have images come up on the screen that are appealing to children, and you know, again, you can use this with your child sitting in your lap. You guys can look at the pictures together. You can listen to this beautiful music. Or if you need to take a shower, you can do so. Put your child in the exerciser and let them have at it and watch this video that's really beautiful and quality, good stuff for them. And so I had this great focus group. And so I came up with the idea of what I wanted to make for children. And I literally sat down at my kitchen table, and I drew this, and it was pretty cool. I mean, I literally thought to myself, what is it that I'm looking for? I want something for my baby, and I want something that's stimulating and not necessarily educational, but something that was really fulfilling and quality. And what do we all want for our children? We want our children to be happy and healthy, and we want them to be bright. We want them to be curious about the world, and who better represented that than Albert Einstein? So I came up with the idea, I wrote down the name, drew the little head, the little logo. Remarkable to me, this exact logo in these colors is now, from my kitchen table in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, has gone on to become really the biggest brand in baby media and now baby toys and baby books in the world. So it's literally completely international. You can find this product in Israel, you can find it in Africa, you can find it anywhere in Asia. It's quite remarkable. In the time that I owned Baby Einstein, and after having started it, our sales numbers went in the first year, 1997, we did about $100,000 in sales, and you can see our growth every year up until the year that I sold Baby Einstein, when we did nearly $25 million in sales. 5 years, $22 million in sales. And it was incredible. So not only did we have this amazing success financially, we had incredible exposure. So lots of media was talking about it, parents were talking about our product, and I mean, it was really incredible. Again, going from a kitchen table in my home, where I continued to work actually throughout the time that I owned Baby Einstein, I always worked at home. And I know a lot of you guys work at home. It was pretty amazing what happened. Ultimately, as you may know, I sold Baby Einstein to the Walt Disney Company. That was 5 years in for a lot of money, a lot more than I made as a teacher, I'll tell you that. And that was pretty cool. And of course, we all want that kind of success. And so hopefully this will inspire you to know that you too can have this kind of success. So thank you. I'm just kidding. So the big question is, how did I do it, right? I mean, how did you really do it? How did you grow from $100,000 in sales to nearly $25 million in sales to what is now valued at hundreds of millions of dollar company that I unfortunately don't own anymore? How did I do it? So again, I started with an idea, and a lot of you guys have great ideas. And I just so encourage you to move forward with those ideas. My idea, again, was to find a way to expose really little kids to things like poetry, classical music, art. The character that you see on the screen is Vincent van Gogh. So he was a little goat puppet. And I thought this would be a great way to introduce children to something that we all teach our kids, which is colors. What better way to teach a child about colors than through the art of Van Gogh, who used incredible, vibrant colors in his work. And then, so I had this idea, and how would I execute this idea? This was the next question. How was I going to make it happen? I'd like to show you a little bit of a video. Can I just ask for a little show of hands? How many people in here have seen a Baby Einstein video? Oh, that's great. So a lot of people have. For those of you who haven't, this should be fun. I want to tell you that this is just a very small excerpt that we've shrunken down, obviously, so that you don't have to sit here for half an hour and watch baby video. But what you'll see in this video from Baby Van Gogh is a combination of what I was trying to do for kids. It was expose them to words and language, expose them to something fun that they like to watch, some art that was by Vincent van Gogh, some classical music, and you'll see in the video the kinds of images that I was showing children, which are toys and real-world objects, things like sunflowers and beautiful things in the world, and again, puppet shows. So this is a little example from Baby Van Gogh.
Yellow. Then yellow sneaks into my day. I race outside to jump and play. I twirl around for dizzy fun and spin under the yellow sun.
Yellow.
That little girl's got a learner's permit now, if you can believe it. It's kind of scary. Date myself. So my goal was to create this kind of product for children, and I needed to now find a place where somebody could market this product and sell it for me. So I actually had created this video. I was fortunate. It wasn't that expensive to do. I used music that was already in the public domain, and I used a character, Vincent van Gogh, who was based on a character that was in the public domain. Vincent van Gogh had died long enough ago that I could use that name without a problem. I did have to, of course, hire a musician to perform the music, but I did most of the work myself, as I know that's no, you're not strangers to that. I'm sure you all do a lot of the work yourselves, and you know how important that is. I needed a good place to start, and to start selling my product. And so I came up with the idea of selling to a particular retail chain called The Right Start. And the reason that I wanted to sell to The Right Start is because that's where I shopped, and I knew I was my own customer. I was making products for myself, really, for what I wanted as a mom, and this was a place I shopped. It was really a great time for me, the late 90s, in terms of selling, because there were a lot of specialty retailers at the time, which we of course see now online, and you guys are all part of a lot of that work. But at the time, there were a lot of specialty retailers when Walmart didn't own the world. So there were people like The Right Start, Zany Brainy, FAO Schwartz, Imaginarium. For those of you who remember these stores, you'll remember that they were really cool places to go with your kids, and they had a lot of great products. So I had in my mind one goal. I wanted The Right Start to sell Baby Einstein products, because that's where I shopped. I just knew it would be the right place for my product. So my next question was, how was I going to get my product into The Right Start? Again, I'm just a person in my home. I'm a mommy. I have no marketing experience and no background in this, but I really believed in my idea. I really loved what it was. And I just knew that this would be the perfect place for it. So I talked to a couple of people who were in the business world, and I said, how can I get my product in front of the buyers at The Right Start? And the advice that I got was, go to a trade show. Now, I'd never been to a trade show before in my life. And so, you know, this is obviously a trade show. The trade show that I decided to go to was Toy Fair. And Toy Fair takes place in New York at the Javits Center every year. And it's enormous. It's an international show. And it's literally for every single individual in the toy industry, from people who make one tiny little finger puppet to Mattel or Toys R Us. And so I decided to go, and I had a goal in mind. So I went to Toy Fair, and this is an example of what Toy Fair looks like. I had no idea. I was quite ignorant when I went into a trade show what I should expect. And I walked in, and there are 20,000 people in an enormous space. And I don't have a booth, and I don't have anything except a couple of videos in my bag. And The Right Start is there, I know, somewhere, but because they're not a manufacturer, they're a retailer, they're just walking around the trade show looking for things that they might want to sell in their store. So now my quest is to find a buyer from The Right Start, and the only thing I can do is walk around these 20,000 people and look for somebody with a name tag that says The Right Start. And I literally did that. I had my videos in my bag. Days 1 and 2, I walked around and I looked at every single person's name tag. Right Start? No. Right Start? No. Right Start? No. It was quite overwhelming, I should say. So on the second day, it was pretty remarkable. I passed a group of women who had Right Start name tags on. And I was so just overwhelmingly excited to see them that I sort of charged them and attacked them maybe a little bit. But what I knew was that in the end, I got my video in the hands of a woman named Wendy, and she worked for The Right Start. That's all I knew. And she was like, okay, I'll take it, you know, because I kind of threw it at her. So I knew that she had it in her hands, and I knew it was going back to their headquarters, which was in California at the time. And that was it. So I went home, went back to Atlanta, and I was sure that they were going to call me the next day. And I know that all of you have probably dealt with things like this where you think like, absolutely, they're going to remember you. It's going to be great. They loved you. And nobody called, and my phone didn't ring, and several days went by, and then several weeks went by, and I was getting really defeated and bummed out. And on maybe a month after that trade show, I decided I was just going to cold call the Right Start. I knew that the woman named Wendy had taken my video. I didn't know her last name. I didn't know her role at the Right Start. She could have been the janitor, I don't know. But I knew she had my video. So I called the Right Start, and you're going to kind of like this story because it involves a little bit of deception, which is sometimes important as you're starting your company. So I called the Right Start, and I said, hello, this is Julie Clark. I'm the founder of the Baby Einstein Company, as if there was really a company when nobody had even bought a single video yet. And they said, oh, yes. And I said, I'd like to speak with Wendy. I met with her at Toy Fair. And they said, the woman on the phone said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, Wendy is no longer with the company. So, thinking fast and deceptively, I said, oh, I remember her telling me that when we met. We had lunch at Toy Fair, and she loved my video, but she told me she was leaving, but I couldn't remember who was replacing her. And the woman said, oh, that would be Kathy Angel. So I said, oh, right, Kathy, that's right. I met her too. Could I please speak with Kathy? So she gives me Kathy's voicemail, and I leave a message for Kathy, and I say, hello, Kathy, this is Julie Clark. I'm the founder and president of the Baby Einstein Company. And I'm calling because I met with Wendy at Toy Fair, and she really loved my Baby Einstein video, and she thought it would be perfect for your store. And I know she told me she was going to give it to you, and I wanted to make sure that you'd had a chance to look at it. So, hung up the phone, kept my fingers crossed and my toes and all that good stuff, and I got a call back. And Kathy said, oh, well, you know, I don't remember Wendy telling me about you, but I do see that there is a Baby Einstein video here on her desk that she left behind, so I'll take a look at it over the weekend. And I'll tell you, that little tiny white lie was one of the greatest things I ever did. So I did get a call back. She watched the video over the weekend with her nephew, who loved it. And she called and she said, we're going to try it. We'd like to try 10 videos in 10 stores. And I was like over the moon. They bought 100 videos. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. So they bought the video, and sort of the rest was history. I mean, it flew off shelves, and it flew off shelves for two reasons. One is it had a great name. I mean, Baby Einstein was a great name. And people could look at it. It was a very new concept. People weren't really watching videos with babies, and they had never heard of anything like this, which was classical music and exposure to beautiful things with a very young child. So it was a very unique idea. So they loved the name. And then the most important thing is they would buy it and bring it home, and their babies loved it. So ultimately, you need a product that works. I mean, we can all have a great name, we can have a great idea, but if your product isn't well done or it doesn't work, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, then you might as well not even bother trying. And it was wonderful. Babies loved it. This was really cool. So from that little tiny first sale of 100 videos, which didn't seem tiny at the time to me, I was really fortunate. I was able to get the Right Start to take on Baby Einstein, the first video, and then the second, which was Baby Mozart, followed by Baby Bach, followed by Baby Shakespeare, Baby Van Gogh, Baby Beethoven, Baby Newton, and Baby Doolittle, Neighborhood Animals and World Animals. The great thing that the Right Start could also do for me was they could give me great distribution. So at the time, again, they had several stores throughout the country. They had a wonderful catalog, and then they had a big online presence eventually. And so it was really terrific because they were able to give me all kinds of great exposure that I wouldn't have gotten had I started out in a really big place. If I'd started out at a Walmart or a Target or one of these really large retailers, my product would have probably gotten lost amidst a lot of other things that were out there. So I was able to get really great exposure, so that was terrific. With that great exposure, I got a lot of buzz. And Baby Einstein got buzz not only because it was a great product that worked well and babies loved it and parents loved it. It got a lot of buzz because we did a great job at customer service. So I was working at home, my husband was my partner, and we had 3 other people on staff. I do have to say that by the time we sold the company, 5 years in, we had a total of 5 people working for Baby Einstein. That was it. So we made the videos ourselves. We did eventually start working with an independent contractor who did a lot of the video shoots for us and worked with us to edit it. But it was tiny. It was a very, very small, easy to run business in the sense that we didn't have a lot of overhead. We didn't have a lot of employees, which was great. And again, customer service was terrific. If somebody called and they said, hey, you know, my baby ate the DVD, could you please replace it? We would just replace it. I mean, we didn't really deal with a lot of problems, and the problems that we dealt with in a way where we were treating people the way that we would want to be treated. We knew what it was like to have a screaming baby at home who only wanted one thing, and maybe it was to watch Baby Shakespeare. And if your Baby Shakespeare DVD was broken, you had an unhappy baby, and any of us who have babies know that an unhappy baby makes for an unhappy mommy. So it was terrific. So we got a lot of great buzz. Ultimately, along with that buzz, and as our company grew in video content, we were able to diversify, and so we went into publishing. It was a great day because I got a call from Disney Publishing, and this was prior to our working with Disney at all. And the book people said, hey, you know, we recognize the success of Baby Einstein and the videos. We'd love to do books. Would you consider doing a book deal with us so that we could license the Baby Einstein name? You could write the books, and we would love to sell them. And that was like a no-brainer, right? So we were able to open up this beautiful book license and also start a relationship with Disney, which was critical in the end when we ultimately sold to them. We did go international. We were sold initially, just when we had the company ourselves, we were sold in kind of an odd variety of countries. Our first, well, Japan wasn't unusual because you would expect that the Japanese would be very interested in having very smart kids. But we were able to move into Japan. We moved into Israel, New Zealand, of all places, and Spain. So those were the first 4 countries that represented Baby Einstein internationally. So that was pretty cool. We also had to innovate. And I mean, this market that you guys are in, this affiliate marketing, I mean, talk about innovation. It's just amazing how marketing has changed and how this industry has had to adapt to changes in social media and internet and just everything that's going on. So we had to innovate by moving from VHS, remember that, VHS, to DVD. And so we were able to move, and we had a business that was pretty easy to, it flowed pretty easily into a DVD product. And of course, now we're seeing in this whole market with Netflix coming on and Apple TV and all of the things that are available now that we are needing to innovate again because DVD is dying. So the ability to adapt and innovate is really important. There was a lot of goodwill around the brand. I told you it worked. I told you that babies loved it and mommies loved it, which was great, and daddies too. We also did something pretty cool. So after a couple of years of this tremendous success with The Right Start, we found that we were now getting calls from Walmart and Target and some of the really big distributors. We didn't want to let down those smaller retailers that had helped us so much, and so we decided to do something pretty cool. We said, okay, we are going to move into these big distribution places, right? These big retail outlets. We don't want to let you guys down, so we're going to do something really cool. We're going to give you a special product. We're going to give you the Baby Mozart video, for example. And if you buy that video from The Right Start, we're going to put a free CD in with it. So we were giving those retailers something very special, and we weren't charging them anymore. So they were paying the same for product as Walmart was paying for product when Walmart acquired product from us, but they were getting something special. So we tried really hard not to let those people who had helped us build our business down, and that was wonderful. I'd like to share with you my top 10 list of things that I think are really necessary and useful as you're building your business from home, a lot of you, and as you're just trying to succeed. So these are my top 10 things. And the first one starts with just a great quote. I love this quote by Mark Twain. He said, "To succeed in life, you need 2 things, ignorance and confidence." And I would say that I certainly was ignorant of what was required to get involved in business. I didn't know anything about business, but I had a lot of confidence in my idea. I really believed in what I was making, and that tenacity, caring about what I did and believing in what I did, made all the difference. It enabled me to be brave. So instead of thinking to myself, I don't know how to do this, I can't go to a trade show, I said to myself, I've got a great product, I've got a great idea. I know that people will love this idea. I know it will succeed. And that was critical. The second thing that I had was I had a really unique idea. So nobody else was doing what I did. Nobody was making these kind of products for children. And I think that not only is it important to be unique, it's terrific to be first. So if you're starting a business or you have a program that you're working on that's the first of its kind and it's good, you have nailed it. Because despite the fact that now down the road there are other videos that are similar to what Baby Einstein did, but not nearly as good, I will tell you that we were first. So Baby Einstein is the name that's synonymous with media products for very young children. So that was really important. Of course, you need money. So when you're starting your business, you need money. I mean, I think it's great when you work from home, as a lot of you do, because you save on so much. You save on office space. You save on so many things. But for us, it was especially great because we didn't have an expensive business. When we started Baby Einstein, our initial investment to get the first video done out the chute was $15,000. Now, that was a lot of money actually for us because I wasn't working and my husband had sort of a regular job. But because we believed in our idea, we went for it. And in the scheme of things, $15,000 wasn't a heck of a lot of money when you figure 5 years later we were doing over $20 million in business. So that was great. The really terrific thing we were also able to do was we were able to support our business out of our cash flow. We never borrowed money from anybody. We were always putting out our next product and making our next product and financing it with money that we were taking in from our own sales. And that was tremendous. Not having to answer to investors is just the best thing. And I know that because I'm actually in the process of starting a new business that I'll talk about in a little bit. And it's a much more expensive business. So we're actually, getting some people to invest in this new company. And there's, some just some sort of hand-wringing and nail-biting as I think about having to answer to somebody else. And so I would just say, if you can do it on your own, do it on your own. It's fantastic. Number 4, determination. My dad always used this phrase when I was a kid, and the words he used were half-assed. And I'm like, what a terrible thing to say, but you can't do it half-assed, right? You have to go for it. If you decide that this is what you're going to do, this is my idea, I believe in my idea, I know it's good, you have to be determined, and you have to do it completely. You really have to believe in your idea, and you have to go for it. So that's critical. The other thing you have to do is work hard. And I talked about my dad, and this is like the perfect image for my own father. And it says, a workaholic maintains a frantic schedule and is unable to relax. If someone you know exhibits these characteristics, he or she is probably a workaholic. And gosh, you guys work hard. I mean, here you are. When you come to a conference like this, it's not because you don't believe in what you're doing. It's because you want to learn, and that's where we always were. So my husband and I worked really hard. We didn't pay ourselves as we were starting up this company. We just worked hard. We did everything that we could do ourselves, we did ourselves. We only hired people that we needed to hire because we couldn't do the work ourselves. And that's another thing that I think is really important to acknowledge. What can you do and what can't you do? So for me, I was never going to be good at balancing the books. I was definitely a person who was going to do the creative stuff. I needed somebody to do that other stuff for me, and I was really fortunate because the person to do that was my husband, who had a lot of business acumen. So that was fantastic. The 6th thing you want to do is you want to have a great team. I told you we had 5 people. We had 5 full-time employees by the time we sold the company. These were people who we still are friends with. These were people we cared about. And as I, sort of saw some of the relationships around the room and all the goodwill and hugging and, people really supporting each other, and as I heard the story of Mike and how he helped so many people in here, it's remarkable. When you have people on your side, it's just the best. You're working toward the same goal. You care about each other. I'll tell you that it was critical to us to give those employees a little piece of our business, because we knew that not only if we did well, would they do well financially, but we knew that they'd care about it more. I mean, if they were going to ultimately reap the benefits of our success, of course they were going to do an even better job for us. So I would encourage you to share with your employees, because in the end, it's just the very best thing when you all succeed. Really good stuff. Number 7, take risks. You have to do it. I mean, sometimes it's hard to swallow when you have to, open up the bank account, when you have to stand up in front of people and tell your story. I was very nervous doing this when I first started doing public speaking, but you've got to do it, because you've got to get out there and let people know who you are, what you're doing, and you have to be willing to take risks. You have to prioritize. So with Baby Einstein, we were working really hard. Ultimately, we did begin to see competition in the marketplace. We were still at the head of the pack, but boy, the work was really beginning to take over our lives. So I would encourage you as well to prioritize, know what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it and what you're working for in the end. And a lot of people say to me, why was it that you sold Baby Einstein when it was doing so well? And I'll tell you that I got a little tired of racing, trying to be first, wanting to be best, and I had wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, which is what I was still doing, but more and more the business was taking time away from my time with my children. And so ultimately my husband and I looked at each other 5 years in and said, okay, here's where we are. We either are going to have to run at a breakneck pace and just kick butt and hire more people and work harder and harder and harder and harder, or we have the opportunity to sell this brand and sell this company and make more money than we ever thought we would have in our lives, and do what we want to do with our kids, with our family, with our lives personally. So ultimately we decided to sell, and there were good things about that, really great things about that, and there was some heartache. And so I know a lot of people who sell their company will tell you that sometimes it's really tricky, sometimes it's really hard to let go. And it's because you love what you do. So this is, when I wasn't wearing my big girl shoes, when I was actually just working at home at a desk in my office, at my house, and loving what I did. And this is a scenario that's probably familiar to a lot of you. If you work at home, you're just comfortable, you're in a space that you love, and it makes all the difference because it helps you love what you do. That's great. My 10th step is to just remember what you're all about. What are your ethics? What do you care about? All of these things helped us. So even though I did tell a little lie along the way, our business had a lot of integrity, great service, members, teamwork. We loved what we did. Really important core values that you want to take into your company. I told you I wasn't good at math, so I have 11 out of 10 things that are important to me. We were able to be really philanthropic, and I have to say, sort of give a shout out to Missy in particular for starting the Affiliate Marketers Give Back program. I understand that this group is responsible for donating a heck of a lot of money to breast cancer research. That's really incredible. So I think you all deserve a big round of applause. So in the scheme of all of these great things that were happening in my life and that allowed me to give back, and one of the things that I was able to do was I started a company called The Safe Side, which I did with John Walsh and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And it was essentially, it's a company that is 100% not-for-profit. We make videos that teach kids how to stay safe. whether it's on the internet or with strangers. It's called The Safe Side. That was a really tremendous give back that we were able to do. So in the scheme of all of these really great things that were happening, I'll tell you why the breast cancer donations are so important to me. I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 37. It was after I'd sold Baby Einstein to Disney, when everything was going perfect in my life. But as you know, sometimes things don't always go perfect. And so I was given a pretty bad diagnosis. You have breast cancer. I had surgery, all went well. I was 4 years out of my initial diagnosis with no evidence of disease. And I was traveling around the world with my family, actually, homeschooling our kids, when I found another lump and found out that I not only had breast cancer again, but I had stage 4 breast cancer. It had spread to my liver, and it was pretty dire. This was 4 years ago. I had been given about 2 years to live. I am cancer-free. Thank you. Woo! That is awesome. And I am just hopeful and happy and grateful every single day. One of the terrific things that I was able to do as a result of a breast cancer diagnosis, because again, you know, you take what you get and you do the best you can with it. And so I wrote a book for children called You Are the Best Medicine. It's 100% not-for-profit. 100% of the proceeds go to UCLA's Breast Cancer Research Center. And it's a beautiful picture book that helps children understand how important their love is when a mom or dad is going through cancer treatment. It's a really sweet picture book. I've had lots of people tell me how important it's been in their life. And so it's one of the greatest things that I've been able to do along with Baby Einstein. So that's pretty awesome. Again, so, you know, take what you have and do something with it. I think it's so great the give back that you guys all do. And I'll tell you that, you know, sort of in the scheme of all of this, you look at what you have and, you know, all of us start with a blank slate. And I spent a lot of time thinking about what I'd done and the great things that had happened to me in my life and some of the battles that I've fought and how just lucky I've been. Gosh, it's been incredible. And I decided, you know, I'm not done. So after writing that book and after receiving a great diagnosis that the cancer is gone, I've decided to start a new company. I think once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. The new company is called Baby Bites. This is the first place I'm ever talking about it publicly. It's not available yet. We're in the process of working with, again, a very small, very beautiful team of people that were involved with Baby Einstein as we started up. And it's hatching in 2013, so look for it later this year. I'll tell you, it's very innovative. It uses apps. It uses new technology for babies. And it's really fun, and it's really cool, and I'm really excited about it. So again, I just want to thank you so much for coming, for getting off those uncomfortable pillows to join me this morning. And I'm going to be around for a little bit if anybody wants to chat. I look forward to talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.